Welcome to Ithaca. As you're sitting there, pretending I'm not sitting in my living room in a pink toga, you may be asking yourself how I got here. Other than my stunning good looks, of course, I had nothing to help me. It was quite a journey. Some would even call it an epic. After leaving Troy victoriously, I came upon the island of Ismarus, where I was attacked by the vicious Sacones. A man with an axe and sword attacked me, and it was a brutal battle. Luckily, I fought like a boss and finally won, and I departed from the island. After sailing a few days, I made landfall to the island of Lotus Eaters, where things got pretty psychedelic. I came across a sweet dude high out of his mind on an interesting plant called lotus. He offered me a petal, and after tasting the sweet flower, it was rainbows and unicorns from there on out. After staying for a while on, nothing, never mind, I managed to get back to my ship and make my way towards my next obstacle. I set sail again, only to land upon Polyphemus's lair. I unknowingly entered the great Cyclops' hideout, and as I sat waiting for my host, I heard deep rumbling footsteps. The small giant, oxymoron, Mr. Washington, arrived, and I instantly thought of a plan. Since the Cyclops was a struggling alcoholic, when I offered him wine, he was soon in a drunken sleep. And so I quickly fashioned a sharp-hardened stake. I pulled out my large weapon and shoved it in his eye. Oddly enough, when he awoke, there was a sheepskin coat. Seizing this opportunity, I then put down my stake and dressed myself as a sheep. I crawled on my knees, and doing so, I barely escaped between the crazy, blind beast's legs. As he blundered about in his cave, I stole away and pulled my sail taut. I sailed and sailed, then fell upon the graceful island of Aeolia, home of Aeolus, king of winds. I humbly knelt before the great god and awaited his greeting, and as I knelt there, he explained to me that he would supply me with a bag of all the ill winds of the sea, making my travel home safe. He bellowed into the bag and handed it to me, and I eagerly left, thanking him as I did. I went to sea once more, but unfortunately my greedy crew opened the bag of winds, blowing me off course to the island of Lestrygonians. I witnessed as some crazy shirtless beast ripped apart the limbs of my men, first the arm, and viciously attacked. We quickly sailed away after this show of brutality, and landed to Circe, the enchantress's island of Aea. After hearing that my men were turned into animals, I went to see this woman who looked strangely like a man. Supplied with moly that Hermes had given me, I demanded she turn my men back to their original forms. She did, and she also warned us of Scylla and Charybdis and told us to see Tiresias of the underworld. I did as Circe said and climbed the stairs of hell to talk to the great prophet Tiresias. I listened to his words of wisdom, and he spoke with a whispery tone. I listened, and my heart grew cold with terror. I then descended the stairs and reported back to my ship. We sailed to Scylla and Charybdis, and I barely made it out of the toilet alive. After surviving, I came upon the island of Helios. After some days of no food and strong gales, I ate Helios's forbidden cattle. I then heard his thundering voice and was struck by Zeus's lightning bolt as punishment. After Helios, I washed upon the island of Ogea, where the sea goddess Calypso lived. I washed upon her shore, and she nurtured me back to health. Calypso was a fair maiden, and for 8 long years she played the song of immortality, trapping me in her grasp. I adored this song, and night after night I would sleep on Ogea. I would dream of Penelope and home, but only due to Athena's great wisdom I was able to make back home to Ithaca. One day, Athena cleared the path, and Calypso could no longer play her song. After one moment, I realized my fault and sailed back to my island of Ithaca. After one stop to the island of Phaeacians, I was finally home. Disguised as a beggar, I convinced the lead suitor of my throne, Antinous, to let me try and string my bow. It wasn't ease, for only I could string such a mighty bow, and I pulled taut the string and took a long breath. I pulled an arrow from my leather quiver, and my hand was steady. I then aimed it, but not at the target, but at Antinous himself. I stared at him for a long moment, instilling him what he had done, and I shot my arrow. It buried deep inside his chest, killing him. I pulled this arrow from his body, observing it, and I had finally regained my kingdom of Ithaca.